Imagine waking up to a nightmare scenario. Your real estate firm's database has been breached and sensitive client information, including financial records and personal details, have been compromised. The consequences could be devastating: massive financial losses, legal penalties, and irreparable damage to your hard-earned reputation. But what if there was a way to prevent this from ever happening? In today's video, let's talk about data security and privacy. Welcome to day 73. Today we are going to be talking about safeguarding your client data and adhering to the regulations. So it's all about data security, data protection, and data management. The key things I'd want you to take out of today would be to understand the importance of data security and privacy within your organization and within the real estate industry at large. Learn about the relevant data privacy regulations and the compliance requirements, and we can explore the best practices for ensuring that you are safeguarding client data. And key thing is to understand that your development of an AI solution within your business has to have privacy by its design, not as an afterthought, and would learn how to handle client data responsibly, respecting the data subject rights and data access rights. And the final one is to build into your workflows a continuous improvement and a continuous monitoring paradigm. So in real estate, handling sensitive client data is a critical responsibility because ultimately you have access to very, very critical information about all your clients. If they're purchasing and you're collecting information that you then keep within your system, so information like their financial records, any date of birth, their addresses, their salary situation, you have all that personal information within your grasp. The key thing is you must protect that information. Otherwise, the consequences of breaches and loss of access to any of that information, the consequences are quite severe. So you could suffer financial loss, reputational damage, and the violation of regulations and compliance also means that there could also be more severe consequences. So as a real estate professional, the vast amount of data you have within your grasp are the contact details, financial records, as I've mentioned. So protecting this is not only ethically correct, it's also a legal requirement. There are significant consequences for any losses or breaches, and we've seen this over the years. As an example here, data breach by a real estate firm they were hit by a £700,000 lawsuit because of information of 100,000 people that they lost. So this is a significant amount, and if you breach something like the GDPR regulations, the consequences are tied to your revenue for the year. And I think it's a worldwide revenue. So if you have a large estate agency or a small one, this can cripple the business. So the key thing is to understand the key areas that have popular protection regulations in place. Now, the two most popular ones that keep coming up through our research are the GDPR for the EU territory and CCPA for California residents. But there are regulations and privacy compliance regimes in other states as well, like the fair housing laws that you have to adhere to. Now, GDPR applies to processing of personal data and personal data of individuals within the EU, and it also outlines how you process that information and the data subject rights and breach notification requirements. So that's where you have to inform the authorities if you suffered a breach. In terms of best practices, there are some key things that are very, very common now and quite simple to implement. So firstly, you need to make sure that any access to your information or the information that you store is transferred over secure links and over secure networks. And at the very minimum, make sure your website is also on a secure portal. So there's an SSL certificate that makes sure that everybody has to use a HTTPS link rather than the HTTP link. So it's a minor change, and your website provider would know exactly what to do there. Now, with your employees and yourself, make sure that access to anything internal is protected by a password that's unique to each individual, and add the multi-factor authentication. So a text message gets sent to them or an email gets sent to them, and they have to use the code from that email to authenticate. So that's called multi-factor authentication. Other things you need to ensure that you have in place are regular patching. So software updates are often designed to fix some vulnerabilities that have been detected within the wider web. And by patching, you're ensuring that you have things protected. And often a lot of breaches are caused by organizations not installing the very latest software within their business. And make sure that the data that you collect from people or your company's information, where you do have backups, make sure it's encrypted. The backups are encrypted at rest, and ensure that anything you collect, whether there's a backup on site or backup off site, that there's adequate protection, adequate monitoring, and everything is traceable. Then the final one is to train your staff to understand the consequences of any breaches, help them understand concepts like phishing and social engineering, just to make sure they don't fall victim or let people take advantage of their naivety. Now, privacy by design is something that might be new to you, but if you just take what the words mean at face value, it means that when you're trying to implement a solution, you're coming at it from a privacy standpoint, and you're making sure that the privacy requirements are catered for. So any organization that's working with you, be it an AI software provider or AI solution provider or any other software that's being provided to you, you need to make sure that they've accounted for the privacy and it's embedded within the design and within the controls that they have in place. And you can ask about this. Now, the next thing is think about the anonymization of your client's information. So anything that you're sharing with a third party, if they don't need to know the key information that or the personal information, make sure it's anonymized. And when you're training your AI models or you're submitting your data to be used for training, make sure that the information is anonymized and nothing can be traced back to the actual individual that provided that information. Ensure that there's privacy and transparency in place, and only collect the information that you require to do your job. Anything other than that is potentially against the GDPR requirements and GDPR principles, and exposes you to potential breach. And if you're breached, they take information that you didn't actually need in the first place, there might be consequences for that. And always conduct privacy impact assessments. Just make sure that your tools are actually up to speed and performing as you'd expect. So when you're handling your client information, make sure you get explicit consent from them to use their information for whatever transactions you want to do. So you cannot present forms to them with certain boxes pre-ticked. Make sure that the ones that ask the question about using their information for third parties or for marketing, that box is on tick. They have to explicitly opt in to anything you want to do with their data. Then you also have to respect their rights to have their information deleted and have a copy of any information you're holding about them within your organization. Anything you're sharing with third-party provided or third-party vendors, make sure it's encrypted, make sure it's secure, and it's handled in the best and most secure way possible. And then if the unthinkable happens and you're breached, there are requirements as to when you must notify the authorities, and there's a time frame within which you must notify them. If you don't, there are consequences for that too. And then think about building in regular improvements and regular updates. So this would mean having regular audits. In some organizations, they dedicate one staff or a team to make sure that you are secure and you are protected. So it's for them to perform these regular security audits, ask questions, and do some war games with the employees. So send phishing emails and see who responds, and use that as a way of training and educating the staff. So you must stay up to date with the regulatory changes, monitor and adapt those to those changes, so that you are always ready, battle ready, and embrace that culture of data security. Don't see it as an inconvenient, but see it as something that protects your organization's reputation, protects your bottom line, and ensures that people see you as a transparent organization that takes the protection of their property, which is their personal information, seriously. So in conclusion, what I hope you have gotten out of this is that you understand now the importance of data security and privacy in real estate and in any business. You understand the relevant regulations and best practices. Implement privacy by design, and that you handle people's information responsibly, and you build into your processes this whole idea of improving continuously and learning about the security posture. Or you work with other organizations who work in this space and would understand what the requirements are and keep you abreast of your needs. Now, what that leads me to say that if you have any questions to do with anything we've discussed today, please leave a comment on the comment section or reach out to us on our social media platforms. So we are Autoree.ai. We automate business growth, automate business transactions. We build chatbots and assistants to help you make sure you engage with your clients regardless of the time or day. So reach out to us on social media, Autoree.ai, on Instagram, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Reach out to us on our website if that's quicker for you, Autoree.ai. We can send an email to uwa@autoree.ai. So that's it for today's session. Until next time, keep winning.